Hello everyone. As a part of NCERT series, we are going to discuss history. In history, we are going to take up 6th class NCERT. The cover page of 6th class book gives two words, our pasts. So the past means that is a plural. What it indicates? It indicates the past of various sections of the people. Suppose if you take the ruler, his day-to-day activity was different and a farmer's day-to-day activity was different. Likewise, merchant and craftsperson. So when we discuss about the history or our past with any student or any kid, generally they get a lot of enthusiasm. They put a lot of questions. You could see their inquisitive nature. This indicates they generally put questions like what people ate, what kind of clothes they were wearing, what kind of houses in which they were living in, and what was the daily life of a so-and-so person, a ruler, a farmer, or else the various other sections of the people like hunters, painters, musicians. Like that, they put so many questions. How do we know about the past? We generally read some books to know the past. When we wanted to know about the past, so we tend to look at books. So we know that paper was not present during ancient period. So how do people used to write? They used to take palm leaves. Sometimes specially made bark was also used to write. So we call this as manuscript. Manuscript is nothing but a manu means a Latin word that means hand, by hand. That means these scripts were written by hand. Actually, there was some kind of problem with these manuscripts. So these manuscripts tend to get destroyed. So most of the manuscripts were destroyed. Some were preserved in temples as well as monasteries. And along with that, if you look at some of the important stone inscriptions and metal inscriptions. So these were something different where rulers and some other important officers, they issue these inscriptions on stone or a metal. Okay, people of that kingdom, they could read, they could see this and they could obey these orders. So for example, if you look at Afghanistan, there is a place called Kandahar. In Kandahar, you could find inscriptions of Ashoka. So those inscriptions were written on the orders of Ashoka by the local officers. So those were orders given by the emperor. That inscription, Kandahar inscription, was written in two languages. One is Greek, another one is Aramaic. If you look at the entire India, so inscriptions were generally issued in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. And so this is about the stone and metal. And it is not only that. Even they have used various languages, Prakrit, along with Prakrit, Tamil, Sanskrit, and even local languages. They have used even in manuscripts like palm leaves and even bark, and on the stone and even on metal. This is about the past. How do we get it? From various sources. If you look at another small topic, that is where in this chapter, I am going to pinpoint this Narmada river. What is the significance of Narmada river? Narmada River. The people have moved on the banks of this river several hundred thousands years ago. Okay, so they have the vast knowledge about the plants present in this location. They used to gather their food. That means they were skilled gatherers. They used to gather roots, fruits, and some other forest produce for their food. They even hunted animals. This is about Narmada region. And if you come to Suleiman and Kirta range, this region has got another significance. What is the speciality of this region? Here, people began growing wheat and barley. That means first settled agriculture started in this region, and people started domesticating animals. That means cattle, sheep, goat, like that, such kind of animals, they started rearing it. Okay, and this happened 8,000 years ago. What do you mean by 8,000 years ago? That means it is 6,000 BC. So I wanted to clarify one thing here. Years generally count from the date assigned to the birth of Jesus Christ. That means BC means before Christ. So before Christ, 6,000 years ago. After Christ, suppose today we are in 2024. So, okay, we will take up this thing as 2000. That means 6,000 BC plus 2000 AD. That is Anno Domini. Okay, in the year of the birth of Lord. So, this 6,000 plus 2,000, that is 8,000 years ago, here people began growing wheat and barley. Wheat and barley. And they even started rearing animals. That is, domestication of animals began in this region. And now look at this Vindhyas and Garo hills. So these two areas are also most important, because here also agriculture began. Suppose the north of Vindhyas, this north of Vindhya region is the first place where rice cultivation began. Of course, other places later added to this rice cultivation. And now look at Indus River and Ganga River. Indus River basin, it has got Indus as well as various tributaries. And look at this one, Ganga and its tributaries. Indus River has got significance. 4,700 years ago, first urbanization began in this location. First urbanization began here. What does it mean? That means 2700 BC, first urbanization. That means first time cities flourished in this region. Indus Valley, that is what we call Indus Valley civilization. Technically, that is archaeologically, we call it as Harappan civilization. Harappan civilization. So 2700 BC. And now we have to add 2000 AD. Okay. So that means 4,700 years ago, first urbanization occurred in this Indus Valley region. Now look at this Ganga. This Ganga region experienced second urbanization 2500 years ago. What does it mean? Around 500 BC, here cities flourished. So that means 600 BC, in between 600 BC and 500 BC, second urbanization. That means cities flourished. So that period we come across the birth of Mahavira and the birth of Gautama Buddha. Okay, so in between this first urbanization and second urbanization, we come across Vedic period and the later Vedic period. So that we will discuss in other chapters. So this is about Indus Valley and Ganga Valley. So look at this place in Ganga region. This is where Magada Mahajanapada, Magada Empire survived. And the rulers of Magada were so strong. They were very strong. They expanded their territory in all directions. And now we will see how our country got two names, that is India and Barat. Generally, India and Barat are used for our country. So we are going to see how these two names came. So this is Indus River. Iranians, that is Persians, and Greeks, they came through northwest of this Indian subcontinent. When they encountered this river, so this was, they called it as Indos and Hindos. Hindos was, the name was used by Persians, that means Iranians. Indos name was used by Greeks. Actually, this Indus name is also known as Sindhu in Sanskrit, a land which is located on the eastern part of Indus is called India, okay, by Greeks. And now we'll look at Barat. So how the Bharata was, the name was used for a group of people. So those group of people were living in this northwestern part. They were clearly mentioned in Rig Veda. So that's the reason this territory has got Bharat. According to another story, so this territory was ruled by Bharata, who was the son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala. So Dushyanta and Shakuntala's story and his son Bharata was clearly written in a novel called Abhignana Shakuntalam. Abhignana Shakuntalam, that was written by Kalidasa. Okay. So this was about India and Bharat. Now, if we look at the other important aspect in this chapter, rivers, desert, and mountains, all these are barriers for any traveler, because traveling those days was totally dangerous. But it was not impossible, because people tend to move according to their depending upon their livelihood, and also they try to travel to escape natural disasters like floods and drought. And also some people like the armies, they travel and they move to occupy a new territory. And even merchants, they travel with caravans. Okay, so they travel with caravans. And also, if you religious teachers, they walk from one village to another village, one town to another town, and they give advice, they give instructions upon various topics. And in this process, so mingling of various cultures, various new tendencies began to develop in India. So that means various rulers and various people, they came from northwest and they settled in India. This is all about the first chapter: what, where, how and when. Thank you so much.